drop a comment if you were one of the people who were judgmental of Happy Simelane, aka Her Majesty, on the show The Mummy Club that is currently on Showmax. I can tell you now, I was one of those people. After every single episode, 1 to 4, I had something to say and judge about Happy Simelane, Her Majesty. That has since changed, and this is why. Let's talk about it. Remember guys, if you like this channel, if you like me, if you find my content to be relatable, please do subscribe, click on the like button, which is the thumbs up, share the video with your friends so they can come and enjoy this content as well. Click the notification bell so that every time I upload a video, which is once a week, you get to be notified and you don't miss out.
There's only one of you, only one of me. There's a million of those who won't let us be, but they're not.
Hello gorgeous, welcome to my channel Dima M. My name is Dima Katso. Today let's talk The Mummy Club. The Mummy Club is a show currently on Showmax, and it is featuring 5 Josie glamorous momfluencers and how they navigate the challenges of parenting and the cutthroat world of being the it mom. If there's anything in common about these ladies, they look absolutely gorgeous, but more than anything, they showcase pure opulence, and it's beautiful to watch. There is one cast member that I would like us to delve into in particular, and I'm talking about Happy Simelane, aka Her Majesty. Her Majesty is a businesswoman. She's a philanthropist, a producer, and an author. She is born in Vosloorus. She's 34 years old and she's got 3 kids. Her oldest is Disetso, who is 15 years old. Her second is 12 years old, which is Tireletso, and her last born is Paris, who is only 2 years old. Now, I was first introduced to Happy on the show. I had not known her before then, and I really want to talk about some of the scenes that made her the talking point throughout the show. Almost after every episode, if there's anything to talk about, was something that Happy had done, and most of it was really just pure judgment from most of us. Okay, I saw that a lot on TikTok, and I had conversations with my friends about it, and we were all on the same page about the fact that we were all just judging Happy based on the scenes on the episode. Let's talk about episode 1 and that scene in particular where Happy was sitting with the other cast members and she asked for a bag so she could vomit. Now, that moment, you guys, was very cringe. In fact, I just didn't understand why that episode was included. And the reason why it was puzzling is because there was no context given thereafter. No explanation in the following episode as to why she vomited, what had happened. So that was weird because we were like, oh, well, that does not represent luxury. That does not represent opulence. The scene could have been done without, but for some reason they decided to include it on there. That was the first scene that sort of put her on a weird light. The second episode is when Happy was sitting with her 3 children. Her nanny was off, so there she was sitting with all 3 of her daughters, and they were talking about her late husband. So Happy lost her husband to an accident, and you know, she was talking to the kids, asking them how they feel about him being gone so far. And there was that moment when Paris, because she's 2 years old, was busy blabbing, talking, and Happy sort of shushed her. I guess she couldn't hear herself speak. And people have been very judgmental about that moment. Like, why was she talking to a child like that? And then there was another one which I thought really took the cup and really made her to be the villain in that moment of being a toxic mom. And you know what, I'm gonna admit, we do sometimes throw out these words, these big words. Sometimes they're not really justified. While she was sitting with the girls, she said to her second one, Tsireletso, that they are not gonna celebrate her birthday because Happy's late husband passed on the year before and the day before Tireleto's birthday, so they are not going to be able to celebrate her birthday. And Tireleto was like crying, and Happy was like, why are you crying? Why are you crying? And I think it's just the way she also asked that was very uncomfortable. And we know how kids are, like they fuss over their birthdays, like like they live, I think they live for their birthdays, right? And obviously when she heard that it's not going to be celebrated, she didn't take it well. And yeah, so she was also villainized. And then in that moment, you know, she was spoken about. A lot of people did some reviews on TikTok just speaking about how she's toxic as a mom and just being judgmental of how she handled that situation. Now the third strike that also just put her even deeper into that hole of being judged is that she was sitting with other two cast members, and she was talking about how her husband died and that he was in a car accident, and only to find that he was with a side chick in the car when the accident occurred. So Happy obviously spoke ill of the side chick, and it was very uncomfortable to watch or hear. And again, people went at her, judging her, saying, look, it's your husband or your late husband that betrayed you, not the girl, so ease up on that. And again, that even, you know, again, people were just being very judgmental, making videos about how toxic she is. The fourth scene for me was when she went to therapy. Look, big ups to her for actually going to therapy. She sat with the therapist and she addressed the betrayal that she experienced when her late husband passed, and how she later found out that he was messing around. He had a lot of girlfriends and all of that, and how she really felt about the side chick that was in an accident with the husband, with the late husband. And what I really liked about that scene, and I think that after that scene, the therapist scene, for me, that was a turning point. And that was that moment when I really stopped judging her or being so judgmental of her. Because, first of all, I just thought it was super cool that she sat with someone who is relatable. And I'm saying that because she sat with a black lady and she was able to, yes, speak in English most of the time, but she was also able to speak in her own language, and this lady could understand her. You know, there's certain terms that we use because, you know, we have the same culture, that we would understand where you're coming from, that if you try and translate it in English, it will not be as impactful. She said something like, she found out that this guy was messing around, but she said it in Zulu, that it had more depth in her language than it would if you're saying someone is messing around. And I thought, wow, that's actually quite interesting. It is important to speak to someone that will be able to relate to you. So yeah, big ups to her for that. And in their conversation, the therapist said also, how is this affecting the children? Why don't you bring them in? Happy brought the children in, okay? And in doing so, the children had an opportunity to tell her how are they feeling. And instead of just only talking about the passing of her late husband and how it has impacted them as children, her oldest, Tiseto, then decided to talk about how she feels about her mother, and how her mother sometimes make her feel like she was a mistake, because I think she had once uttered that she was born by mistake, and how hurtful that has been. And yeah, look, that was quite cringe. Again, you know, people did go at her for that. But for me in that moment, what I appreciated about Happy was the fact that she allowed her child to speak about that without interference and without shushing her or not allowing her to express herself. She allowed her to speak. Her daughter also spoke about the fact that, you know, Happy tends to compare them. At first, I thought there was a big gap between the two, but Tiset was 15 and Tirilet was 12 years old. So there's a small gap. So there would be that competition between the girls, and And the fact that maybe as a parent, you know, Tisetso felt like her mother would acknowledge and compliment Tsireletso, who's 12, more than she does her. And she spoke about that, the comparison and how it's affecting her. And not only how it's affecting, Tisetso and her mother, but how it affects Tisetso and Tsireletso. You would think because of such a small gap, as siblings, they would be close. Unfortunately, they're not close. And in all of that, Happy allowed the kids to express themselves and address these things with her, and she took it in. And had that last moment with the therapist when she's like, face each other and talk to each other. I think it was after that episode I realized, I'm like, wait a minute, Happy is the one who's carrying the show, you guys. If you really think about everybody else and their content that they bring into the show, it's quite shallow. It's almost like they showcasing their Instagram life just in motion. Very clean, very brushed, very edited. They watch what they say. Yes, the ladies do provoke each other, and it shows, and it does bring the drama. But what Happy's showing is she's showing a lot of vulnerability, and in that stage, she also is just being real and being bare, and not trying to brush things off or trying to brush herself to be this perfect person. And I thought that was very interesting. And that's when I realized, like, okay, maybe we're judging her because we expect when people show so much opulence and luxury, they must be in a certain way. But no, they have problems. They have challenges. And Happy is the one cast member I feel showcases those challenges. To even further cement, my feelings about her and how they changed, is that Happy went on to Gogos Koteni's podcast, the Venting podcast, and she was talking, and she addresses some of the incidents that happened on the show, especially all those incidents that I've actually highlighted. The first one, which was the vomiting in that first episode, like I said, it had no context. Like, it was never spoken about. She herself says that she didn't even know that they were going to include that scene on the show. She explains that she has a dread disease that's affecting her throat, and she's not able to hold on to food, and that is the reason that she would often vomit without any notice, and that is why that happened. Even though she was not happy with the fact that, or she was surprised that the show did still include that scene, she still didn't speak ill of them. I do think that they were being very dodged by including that scene. It was not necessary. It was not even given any context. Anyway, she addressed that to say she is not well. She mentioned her disease. I can't remember the name of the disease. But yeah, she does have a problem with her throat and is not able to hold food, and hence that happened to her. And I really felt sorry for her because she said she doesn't enjoy food like we do as normal people. I mean, eating for us, it's an experience. When you go to a restaurant and you're eating the best food, or when you've cooked something and you're enjoying it, it's such an experience. It's part of life, it's part of living, and she doesn't get to experience that. And I just couldn't believe that some people have such problems, So that is the one thing that she addressed, and I wished she had an opportunity to actually address it on the show, but she didn't. But that's what podcasts are for. I always think that, sometimes if you misunderstand someone, or if you're judgmental of a person, sometimes when you watch their podcast, you come out thinking differently about them because you get a lot more context about who they really are, where they come from, and all of that. Also, Happy said a lot of things that I felt like were very relevant, or rather relatable. Also, she says, like, as a Black person, there's certain things that you need to do on the anniversary of your late husband's death, and there was no way they were going to be able to celebrate the birthday because they had to do that, like Msebetsi, Therefore, just that year, they will not be able to do big event to celebrate her birthday. They can't have a party. Maybe just do something small, like cake, and which she said, her daughter Tsireletso does share her birthday with her grandmother, and they did celebrate, but it was just a small, intimate celebration. Following years, they'll be able to celebrate it as big. I just think the way it was, she said it on the show, and she didn't explain more, that left most of us thinking, Why would she say that to a child when we know birthdays are everything for kids? And that's why Tsirilito was crying. So context is needed, you guys. You know, these shows, there's a lot that's said, and you know, because it's a television show, they have to shrink it and edit it quite a bit, and we don't get to hear everything, and we only make judgment on bits of information that we get from the show. Now, the third one was around how her late husband died and the whole thing about the side chick that was in the car. And, you know, she also addressed that to say, listen, I mean, in reality, if you were in my situation, like if you're in my shoes and your husband died, are you going to say nice things about the side chick? No. So it's only natural that you lash out at the side chick, and you find someone to direct your anger at, and she found her because obviously the husband is gone. He's not around to explain himself, apologize, do anything. So that was the best way of her to actually express, or at least find someone to direct her anger to. Is it right? No, it's not right. But do we do that as humans? We do, all the time. All the time. Like, but when we see you on TV, we judge it as if like if we were in that same situation, we'd never do it. She's toxic. So I understood. Okay. And then she also addressed, you know, she spoke about, you know, the therapy that she did with the kids. In fact, Disetso had accompanied her to the podcast, and Disetso got an opportunity to again address her mother. And, you know, she furthermore said, yeah, my mom, I just feel like she compares me to my little sister. And she said, most of all, like when I do great things, like I've really put in an effort to change over the years, and still she doesn't see the changes that I've made, the efforts that I'm making. She still does not acknowledge that I'm doing good, and it bothers me. And again, Happy wasn't there saying, you know, shush, don't talk, or don't put me in this light. She allowed her child to talk and express herself, and big ups to her as a mom for that. And yeah, so it's just that having more context on some of the scenes that do occur on TV, on these television shows, that makes you understand the person, and you realize, you know what, maybe I was a little bit too harsh to judge the girl. That was unnecessary. And yeah, so she spoke quite a bit about herself. Some of the things that she mentioned that made me feel that she is quite relatable is that, you know, she grew up, she was raised by her grandmother, which I could definitely relate. She started her career in the call center. I did too. She's got a beautiful blue Porsche. I wish I could say I do too on that one, but not yet, not yet. And obviously she's being accused of being a cloud chaser. Do I think she's a cloud chaser? I don't know. I don't think so. And also the reason why, you know, she was being accused of being a cloud chaser was because she leaked the video about Thabo Bester. Was she not supposed to talk about, she didn't leak it, she provided the video as proof to say that I was also affected by this guy. He also contacted me because apparently he did so many people. Some people are not even coming out to say that, yo, Linda, this guy and Dr. Makutumani did try to scam me. People are shy because when you scammed, guys, you feel dribbled, you know. And but she was honest enough to say like, Lena was one of those people that they tried to dribble, and there's nothing wrong with that. More people must come out and say what's their story, and how they've been affected or impacted by this whole Thabo Bester story. I don't think that's being a cloud chaser. And I think she's the most spoken about Mummy Club cast member simply because she opens up on the show about her life more than the other ladies. The other ladies just want to look great, want to look Instagram perfect. And yeah, and unfortunately for some of us, that's just not relatable on our day-to-day. As I mentioned, she is also an author. So in the podcast, Yeah, Gogos Kotani, she did mention that she has released a book. She simply just provided her number to say, if you want the book, you must just call this number. And I went and text her on WhatsApp to say, I'm interested, I want the book. The ordering process was so simple. She literally just sent me her banking details and the cost of the book along with the delivery cost. Say, send me proof of payment along with your address. Few days later, I received the book in my doorstep. This is her book, Your Dreams Are Valid, that I received this morning, and I cannot wait to delve into. And the reason why I decided to really support the girl and buy her book was, again, when she did the podcast, I just felt like she was very relatable. There was so many things that she said that I was like, oh, okay. You know, this is a girl who started from nothing, and she really did build herself to where she is. There's definitely so much to learn from her, and I can't wait to go through the book and really see what I can learn from her. And it's also just supporting our people, okay? Like, support local businesses, support women. It is Women's Month, it's August. So this is my way of supporting a woman, supporting local businesses, and really reading a book about somebody you can really relate to. This is a girl from Vosloorus, you know, who is really made herself from nothing. So I am really happy and excited, and I can't wait to read the book. So yeah, guys, that's all I got for you today. If you like this channel, you guys, if you like my commentary, if you like my views, or you at least appreciate them, please do subscribe to my channel. Do press the like button. Go and have yourself a good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. Bye.